Jason Tatum, and other new faces are driving the NBA playoffs excitement and viewership from round one into this week. Are we witnessing the emergence of a new generation of stars? Hello and welcome into Front Office Sports Today from our FOS studio in New York City. I'm Renee Washington.
And I'm Dan Roberts. Thanks so much for tuning in. It has been a blast guest hosting this week with Renee. So pumped to bring you another big show. We have a lot of news to go over. Let's dive in the shoot around.
Let's start off with two big college conferences. Some news. The Big Ten hit $928 million in revenue for 2024 and is expected to exceed $1 billion in the current 2025 year. And then also, Dan, over in the Big 12, Commissioner Brett Yormark and the conference have agreed to a 3-year extension, taking them through 2030. Exciting times for the Big 10 and the Big 12.
Well, look, I mean, the fear in college conferences right now is it's basically all about SEC, Big 10, Big 12. We used to talk about the Power 5. Then we said goodbye to the Pac-12. It became the Pac-2, although it is in the process of rebuilding, so it will be revived. But right now we've got Power 4. But it kind of feels like when you look at the money, when you look at the teams that get in, when you look at the power dynamics, it's really the Power 3. And then if you want to condense it even further, it kind of sometimes feels like it's all SEC Big 10. We know that they're the biggest decision makers in the room, trying to push for change at the NCAA level, and keeping Brett Yormark in the hot seat just makes a lot of sense. He has really embraced, as our college sports reporter Amanda Kristovich has written, the commercialization of college sports. I mean, sorry, but that's the reality now, right?
Absolutely. You have the Big Ten, which has the revenue alone from the media rights. And then on the other side, for Brett Yormark coming in with the experience from working with a company like Rock Nation that he can add to the conference. All right, well, let's look at how much money is enough money that you're willing to give up for the job you want. Now, for Matthew Stafford, apparently he gave up about $20 million to stay with the Los Angeles Rams instead of accepting offers from the Raiders or the Giants. And both teams were willing to offer Stafford over $100 million through the course of 2 seasons. But instead, he took a nice 2-year, $84 million deal to stay with Sean McVay and the Rams. I mean, taking his job, the value over the money?
Yeah, look, he's happy there. He's going to do just fine financially. He's already done just fine. And let's remember, I mean, I'll never forget going from being with the Lions for a nice chunk of time and then not having the success. He kept coming close, and then winning a Super Bowl with the Rams. He feels loyal with the Rams, right? He feels like things are working there. Let's just stick around. And I love seeing when guys take a little bit of a haircut or at least less money than they could elsewhere, often for the good of the payroll of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. A pay cut to stay with the team that you like. Well, it's official. The Utah Hockey Club has a new name, the Mammoth. Tusks up, everybody. After a 13-month process, they got the fans involved for some voting. They've released the logo, the colors, and of course the new official name, which we had a nice teaser of that as it accidentally dropped on YouTube, and now it's official. They are the Utah Mammoth.
Yeah, it's official. It's okay. I actually kind of liked when, for a temporary period of time, this was the UHC, the Utah Hockey Club. That's what they played as for the whole first season of this team's existence. And of course, we knew that the leading alternate name was actually the Yeti or Yetis, but Yeti, the brand, did not look kindly upon that, and there were trademark issues there. Mammoth, singular, it's just not my favorite. Go Mammoth. I mean, why not Mammoths? But I'll tell you why not. That just doesn't sound so great off the tongue. I'm sure everyone will get used to it. Everyone gets used to every name. But I liked UHC. It reminds me a little bit of when the Washington football team said we're going to be called the Commanders. Well, people kind of got used to WFT, the Washington football team.
Well, UHC also reminds me of United Healthcare, so I don't know.
You're certainly right about that.
Doesn't make me think of hockey, but the Mammoth do have a new name officially. All right, with OKC GM Sam Presti winning Executive of the Year for the first time, which is long overdue for his 18 years with the Thunder. He's also been voted best at his job by fellow GMs across sports. He blew up and rebuilt OKC as a top team on the 5th lowest payroll, where one of those stars on the Thunder, SGA, has become one of the many rising talents driving the NBA. So let's get into that in our main event. How is the rise of new stars helping the NBA playoffs and impacting the fan experience and viewership? We did officially get the round 1 ratings. There's a tremendous increase. So NBA playoff ratings for the first round are up 6%, averaging 3.7 million viewers across ABC, ESPN, and TNT. We saw the most watched opening weekend in 25 years. And that Rockets-Warriors Game 7 was the most watched first-round Game 7 on cable since 2009 Bulls-Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are great. You love to see it. Look, for the first half of the season, it was a big media narrative that ratings were down because the ratings were down. They were down especially large on ESPN at the beginning of the regular season. In the end, the regular season dipped just 2%. And by the way, same with NFL regular season ratings this past year. They dipped 2%. Now we're in the playoffs. The ratings are up. You love to see that. Is it because of young stars? Maybe, maybe not. I think you have a lot of exciting teams in there. Now, funny enough, all the teams that have made it this far this season are the exact same that made it this far last season, with one exception, the Mavs. Shocker. I wonder what changed with the Dallas Mavs. But look, it is great. You know, we have Anthony Edwards on the screen. You know, my Celtics are in here with Tatum and Jaylen Brown, although I don't think they really are contenders for like face of the league. I just don't think they're quite there outside of Boston in terms of how charismatic. You know, I love doing the debate of like, who's the new face of this league? I don't think it's Tyrese Halliburton, respectfully, but you're right. We've got a lot of exciting stars in the mix right now.
Well, also it helps drive that number from round 1 into round 2 is the fact that we haven't seen a home team win a game yet. As of this conversation, the higher seeds have lost every single game in the second round. This is actually the first time in NBA history that all road teams have won game 1 in the second round. So the competition, the margin of error, so close when you look top to bottom across the playoffs. That's also, besides even the individual star power, what makes it so exciting that you have every franchise truly has an opportunity to win this year.
Don't like it as a Celtics fan so far. I did catch the ending of the Cavs-Pacers just last night. Really exciting. I don't think anyone expected that the Pacers would go up 2-0. And now with that stunner in Game 1 of Celtics-Knicks, I'm just hoping that series doesn't go in the same direction. Of course, the Celtics lost one game to the Magic. Maybe we've just started early and dropped our game right off the top. But look, I mean, it's an exciting playoffs. Of course, we know which teams and which markets the NBA, if it's being honest, would like to see advance farther, right? I mean, what rivalries are left in terms of a potential finals? Celtics-Warriors is a little bit of a rivalry. I think it's become a rivalry, right? You mentioned how exciting the Rockets Game 7 was against the Warriors. I think you want Steph Curry in the mix here. You want Anthony Edwards, but of course Minnesota, not really a big market team. So let's see how things progress and let's keep tracking ratings. But this is really encouraging. I think the young stars and how many we've got right now, it's like people are staking their claim for whether they're going to be the face of the league in the next 2, 3, 4 seasons.
Well, it's wild because we don't have the usual rivalries in terms of clubs, but we do have so many great moments that we've seen. And these moments are led by the young stars. You mentioned the Pacers up 2-0. Well, they actually made some more history because there's, in the history of the NBA, teams that have been down by 7 or more with 1 minute left since 97 in the playoffs are now 3-1. 2 of those teams that have won 3 games are the Pacers, and they won both those games in the past week. Tyrese Halliburton leads that. You also have Anthony Edwards, who dethrones LeBron James and then trolls the fans walking outside of the arena. And then you have Jalen Brunson with that incredible comeback, down by 20 against your team, and they was able to lead that comeback, but also the Celtics, even with that incredibly awful shooting production, being the worst, one of the worst playoff shooting performances we've seen. I know, sorry, but I had to throw that in there for you. So these moments are led by these young stars, Brunson, Tatum even, and I do think that's what makes fans gravitate to see the new generation, the new faces dethroning. It's not KD, it's not Booker, it's not Kawhi or James Harden.
And by the way, Curry and LeBron and Westbrook and Durant and these guys are going to age out. I mean, we need exciting young stars.
Father time catches up to everyone.
I'm happy to give it up to Brunson and the Knicks. I mean, you know, Jay Williams kind of got roasted for a take that Brunson is already one of the all-time greatest Knicks. But then look at this series and let's see what Brunson does, right? So that's a great rivalry, Celtics-Knicks. Of course, as I mentioned, I'd love to see the Warriors keep going far in this postseason. I think they're always really exciting. You want Curry in the mix. You want these three-point shooters. But with Anthony Edwards, he'd be my pick in terms of someone who is exciting, ballsy, edgy. Also a good actor, by the way. I don't know if anyone saw that Adam Sandler basketball movie with Anthony Edwards, Hustle. Quite a good turn by Ant Edwards. But I've been saying all season, like, you know, part of the reason that I think NBA ratings dipped at the beginning, you don't necessarily have those edgy, crazy fights and the guys who bring it and the guys who aren't afraid and are kind of, they push and they're physical, and that's Ant Edwards.
Like Halliburton's big cojones celebration, Ant Edwards
Sam
trolling,
Cassell.
you know, you got comeback, clutch player of the year, most overrated, all these guys that are really leading the narrative in terms of the excitement. All right, well, as we are looking at the excitement of the NBA, over in the soccer, we've got a soccer legend, Carli Lloyd, coming up after this break, discussing her vulnerable Hall of Fame speech, her partnerships, and more right after this. Stay tuned. welcome back into Front Office Sports. Today, I'm thrilled to shift over into women's soccer as we welcome in four-time Olympian that not once but twice has won an Olympic gold medalist, FIFA World Cup, and been named the FIFA Player of the Year. Carli Lloyd, congratulations. Welcome in as you were just this past weekend inducted into the National Soccer Hall of Fame. Well deserved. And I loved the vulnerability and honesty in your speech of just wishing that you had done more in your career to let people in. With all the great moments we've seen, Carli, I'm curious, what are those moments that when you reflect back on, you wish we had a chance to witness?
Yeah, I mean, it was a spectacular weekend. Just truly honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Was part of a great 2025 class with all the other inductees, and yeah, just really a full circle moment, special moment, having my family there, having our 6-month-old daughter there. I kind of mulled over my speech for several months about just, what I wanted to craft and say. And, I just felt really good to get up there and just kind of give people a little bit more of a human element side. Everybody knows I worked hard. I love the game, but little do they know the vulnerability that, that a lot of professional athletes have to go through, and not even just athletes, people that are successful business owners and, in higher ups in different companies, what it takes and what you give up and what you sacrifice. For me, I didn't have any regrets. I don't necessarily wish or think that I could have been any different, because of the level of success that I wanted to have. I wanted to be the best that I possibly could be. And I felt like that was how I had to be in order to survive a cutthroat environment. And I think everybody has gone about their careers in a different way. And so it just felt really good and really refreshing to just be able to, to say to some of my teammates, like, this is what I was going through. This was my thought process, and sorry I couldn't let you all in, but it was nothing against any of you. It was just something that I felt like I needed to do in order to survive. And I think loads of people that have kind of known me throughout my career have understood me, and I've let some people in, but it was just a nod to them. It just felt really good to just kind of speak from the human side of things, because I rarely have done that in my career. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I love that aspect as you talk about the human element, and something you've talked about recently, your greatest achievement, the birth of your daughter, Harper. Congratulations on that as well. And you're just continuing to plug away personally and professionally. Now with this partnership that you're involved in with US Soccer and American Airlines, I'm curious, what drew you to get involved with this partnership at this time?
Well, I think, you're seeing a huge shift in U.S. soccer. Obviously, we had our equal pay lawsuit that, is way behind us and sorted out, and men and women's team have been coming together, and U.S. soccer has been restructuring things. They've got an amazing facility in Atlanta that's going to be opening up probably close to a year. So just so many exciting, important things and aspects coming. And for this partnership, especially, I have a loyalty program. I have my Advantage loyalty program that I'm well a part of. I fly a lot of miles on American Airlines, not just saying that, but it's the truth. I fly out of Philadelphia, so that's pretty much a American Airlines hub. But, the support and the resources are one thing, right? And obviously American Airlines is going to be getting people to games and fans and players and all that, but it's the activation, it's things that they want to do in and around the game to make it fun, to bring attention, to players and the teams, and then carrying this through to 2027 World Cup. Like, that's an important aspect of theirs, not just the 2026 World Cup. So this is a huge partnership, one that, I haven't seen in my playing career. I mean, this is just this is a big deal. And, credit to American Airlines for coming in and being so supportive and wanting this partnership. I think it's going to be good on so many different levels. And I'm sure they're going to activate players, and you're going to see, tons of different videos and things that are, going to be streamed everywhere. But it's exciting time. There's a lot coming down the pipeline as far as a U.S. soccer perspective. And yeah, I'm just thrilled to be part of this.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I love that you mentioned since you stopped playing, because it was just in 2021 that you retired. And so much has changed, especially looking at women's soccer, but soccer in general in the United States. The resources, the facilities, the expansion of the NWSL, introductions of new leagues. I'm curious your thoughts on how this, now as you look back on the next generation, has really been helpful in allowing players to build their brand, their business, and more importantly, their careers on and off the pitch.
I think it's been huge. I think that obviously they now have a platform to do that. The whole equal pay, lawsuit was obviously something that we fought long and hard for, not necessarily for ourselves, but for the next generation of players and teams, just like the 99ers did, just like the 91ers, all of that throughout the U.S. soccer pipeline. And, we want to see players fulfilling their dreams. We also want to see players compensated because, yes, I've been out of the game for 3.5 years. Yes, I'm still busy with opportunities, but we're still not quite there, in my opinion, as far as what you do post-playing career. And that's the importance of, building brands and kind of making sure that you are putting money away for your retirement and for life after soccer. But at the end of the day, you also still have to perform on the field, because the performance on the field is what's going to get you stuff off the field. So it's really challenging. It's really hard, but there's just so much investment. There's so much support. All of women's sports, I feel like, is off. It's no longer a charity to get involved or invest. It's business. It's, you're seeing the benefits of investing in it. So it's just really good to see, and I hope it just continues. But we still have a bit to go, I think.
Definitely still more work to be done, but women's sports is big business. A lot of positives being done in the direction of women's sports, just to invest in women's sports. So Carli, I thank you so much for not only joining us to talk about it, but also your continued work in that space as well. And congratulations to you on all of your success.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. And we'll step aside for a quick break here, and we'll be back with more on Front Office Sports Today. Welcome back to Front Office Sports Today. With a new season of Full Speed dropping on Netflix, Baker Machado and I previously had a chance to sit down with one of the stars of the show, Ryan Blaney. Check it out. Welcome back into FOS Today. Baker, myself, Renee here. We've got a very special guest joining us as we've got an exciting time right here in NASCAR as the premiere of season 2 of Full Speed is launching May 7th. So joining us, one of the stars of that Netflix documentary, an American professional stock car racing driver himself, we've got Ryan Blaney in the house, fresh off a 2023 NASCAR Cup Championship and excitedly awaiting the debut of season 2 of Full Speed. Ryan, so happy to have you here with us. And before we even jump into some other questions, first thing I'm curious about, what can we expect from this season? Season 1 was fantastic. What can we expect from season 2 of Full Speed on Netflix?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you all for having me on. And I'm incredibly excited for season 2. I thought season 1 was great, just giving people a little bit of a inside look of, not only the drivers, but the teams as well, kind of the day-to-day weekly things that go on that people don't get to see on the race weekends, how much prep work that goes in, how many people are involved in just a single race team is something that people don't get to see. And then the emotions, the highs and the lows of the sport and just, the raw emotion of good times, bad times. How do people deal with it? I think a lot of people can relate to that because everyone has good times and bad times, and it's how do you kind of handle that? And I know everyone really enjoyed season 1, so I'm excited to see what everyone thinks of season 2.
Well, I mean, we all, and I'm sure you enjoyed season 1 too, because it ended really well for you, of course, in Phoenix at the end of the docuseries. Did you go into season 2 maybe differently, having watched last season, and did you sort of look at things differently with the cameras around you this time?
Yeah, honestly, I was pretty open in the first season of, filming, but then in season 2, I was even more open. We're around cameras all the time, but maybe not in your home all the time. But then, me and my wife got talking. It's like, well, this was a great show in season 1. Let's allow some more access, of things we do off the track even more. Let's invite them into our bus after tough losses or great moments, like wins, and just try to get that in the moment thing, that really people enjoy watching. So it was cool to just kind of see what you were comfortable with. And then going into season 2, it's like, all right, let's open up even more and give people a little bit more of maybe what they crave or maybe what they didn't see or we didn't really show in season 1. So I think a lot of more drivers were like that. And a lot of teams were more open just because they got comfortable with it. And Netflix did an amazing job of making us feel comfortable.
Was there ever a moment you wish cameras weren't there? Like, did they follow you to the bathroom or anything?
The important question.
Well, I did let him go in the bathroom with me. Yeah. I mean, that's, I don't know if that would make it on the show, but I was, like I said, I think, there's a few things that just in your home that it's like, okay, maybe don't turn the cameras on for this. We want to keep some of our life still private, my wife and I. But at the end of the day, like we were very open to what they wanted. They would come to me with ideas. I would come to them and say, hey, I'm doing this, come along.
We know season 2 launches May 7th at full speed. Ryan, we appreciate you so much for taking time to join us to talk about it because it's going to be a great season and we're looking forward to checking it out ourselves.
Yeah, I really look forward to it. I hope everyone enjoys it. Thank you all so much for having me on today.
Thanks again to Ryan Blaney for joining us. And now let's see what's bubbling over at the FOS water cooler. Shedeur Sanders' draft slide had people like Tom Brady reaching out to him with advice. But his star power also led to a man known as John Doe suing the NFL for $100 million for the emotional distress and trauma suffered, civil rights, consumer protection laws, and other issues that have been brought up in this deal from watching the Shedeur slide, Dan.
Come on. Now, look, the average fan I know might have a case, not a legal case, but a case to say that all of the broadcasts of the draft overhyped Shedeur and made it all about Shedeur, talked him to death and made it that much more shocking when you had to stick around and keep watching and watch him slide. I mean, Mel Kiper, it was just Shedeur, and then suddenly it was day 3. But all that said, you have no legal case. I mean, good luck to you. It's kind of fun. It's a cute gesture on behalf of outraged fans. But I mean, sports fans forget. Your team, the league, they owe you nothing. It is purely a commercial enterprise. It is a corporate, purely capital-based business. Sorry that the guy slid all the way to the final.
Well, he does have a list of demands, and in that he does want a retraction from the league for those slanderous statements about Shedeur, as well as an apology from the league and other things. I'm owed a lot of money. I'm owed a lot of money for my teams. That's what I get from this. All right, well, coming up tomorrow, as an update is imminent on the House versus NCAA settlement over athlete pay, we're going to get into that and much more on the show. And a special thank you to our editor-in-chief, Dan Roberts, for joining me this week as guest co-host. And for Dan, I'm Renee saying have a great day, and we'll see you guys next time on Front Office Sports Today.